Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for checking in on me. Uh, I have a lot to talk about. For those of you guys that follow me on social media, you can see that I went paddle fishing this weekend out west, North Dakota, up by Williston, and we'll get into it in a minute, and I'm gonna try to break it down day by day how the whole trip went. It started off really rocky, and it ended pretty good, man. It was a long 4 days of being on the road, and we'll get into it here in a minute. But uh, what's going on with me, you guys? I got my pre-op appointment tomorrow for my neck implant, and that happens on the 10th, and I'm super excited about it. Dude, speaking of that trip, man, like sleeping in a tent, just being pretty active every day. Like, I was so ready to get home. We actually came home a day early. We were gonna stop it all really depended on when we caught our paddlefish, and me and Mike caught our fish right away on the opener, and we were gonna hit a few lakes. We did hit one on the way back, but we'll get into that in a minute. But hopefully this implant helps me out. I'm fucking so sick of being in pain, you guys. And I've been going back to the gym, as you guys know. I've been walking a lot, and I just tried to work through the pain. And I was like, maybe I'll just get past the soreness, get past all the beginning part of trying to get back into shape. And I don't know if I can handle it, man. It just became too much, and it is what it is, man. Like, God, I want to fucking start smoking weed again, you guys, so bad. I don't know if I can do something, in moderation. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm like, I'm gonna start smoking again, and it's gonna just be off the rails again. You know what I mean? So I just gotta hold off on doing that for a while. I definitely gonna start smoking again someday. I miss it. I think it helped me a lot when it comes to like my depression, and I don't understand people who say it helps with their anxiety, because fuck it, I don't know. I think it gives you anxiety, but in a way it's like a fun anxiety to try to overcome, and it's like a challenge. It's a challenge to get like super fucking high and then try to go to like Walmart and not be all paranoid that everybody thinks you're fucked up, and half the people in Walmart are probably fucked up on things that are even worse than weed. But I definitely want to fucking smoke again someday, and I don't know when. You know what I mean? And I sit here and I think, like, I want to freaking, when I do smoke again, like for the first time in however many years, I should do it on a podcast or make a video of it, because I'm gonna be fucked up and it's gonna be funny and fun and whatever. I don't know, but dude, I got all these old videos of me smoking dabs. For those of you guys who don't know what dabs are, is like it looks like a wax. It's super concentrated weed. It's like all the good shit that gets you high, they take it out of the plant, usually by pressing it or some other chemical reactive way they do it. I don't know. I've heard of a few different ways with butane, and I don't know if that sounds like it's very healthy for you or whatever. But I got videos of me doing these fucking giant dabs and just getting obliterated. And I look back and I watch these videos now, and they're kind of sad. I'm like, that was the person I was back then, and I'm like, Jesus, I needed help, and I got help. But they're kind of entertaining, and I don't know if it's something I'd want to put up on the internet as of yet. But I thought about uploading one of them, the one where I did a half a gram dab, and it was fucking insane. But I don't know. It'd be funny. It'd be funnier if it was I didn't have like a fucking major issue with it back in the day. And it's funny when I tell people that I had an issue with weed, and they're like, and these are people that probably smoke every day too, and they're like, they don't want to feel like a drug addict in a way, but we all got our drug. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking caffeine, nicotine right now for me. It's pretty crazy. But I gotta have something, and it's better than being an alcoholic. Better be addicted to some drug. Don't start with the yawns, man. Don't start with the yawns. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what this podcast is going to be all about. Paddle fishing, you guys. And I've never went paddle fishing before. And Mike has done it I think this is his 4th trip out there. So he knows what's going on. He knows where to go. He knows he's got a tent and he's got all the equipment. and he actually had the rods and everything. The poles that I have for catfishing, for catching, like, I can catch like 30-pound catfish with my setups, are too small for what we were gonna be doing or whatever. And I'll get into the whole how you do it all and everything. But anyway, we actually took my 94 Ford pickup truck. I feel that it's a pretty reliable vehicle. The rear end leaks a little bit, but other than that, like, it's got the straight six in it, which for the old Ford pickup trucks was the more reliable engine. It's a stick shift, and I know like a lot of the automatics had transmission issues over time, and I was just making sure I was recording. I didn't do a video last podcast. I totally just spaced on it. I hit record and I started talking, and I never even did the video. But get a video this time. So if you guys want to watch me on YouTube, feel free. Let's get back into it. Okay. I get sidetracked all the time. The 94 Ford pickup truck. I feel like it's pretty reliable. Mike's Expedition is like knocking and making insane noises, and I'm like, there's no way that's going to make it. And we brought the boat with, you can't paddle fish from a boat. But we were going to be out there extra days, and if we caught our paddlefish right away, we were going to hit some lakes and rivers and stuff on the way back and just do some fishing and stuff. And so here we are towing the boat, all this equipment we brought with, all the fishing gear. Mike brought a generator, just everything, the tent, coolers, you name it, and we load the truck up on Thursday about at noon, and we hit the road, and everything's going good. Halfway between here and Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake is like 90 miles away. There's all these little towns, obviously. Well, we're going up a hill in the truck, and I have no power. Like, I can't keep it at 65. Like, it's just, I got it floored, and I'm downshifting, and I'm still losing speed. And I'm like, Mike, dude, I got no power here, like, something's going wrong. And all of a sudden, just bang. We hear a loud bang noise, and then it's just pop, 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 pop. So, like, my first thought is, like, we just blew a rod. We just blew the engine. I shut it off. We pull over. I get out. I'm expecting to see oil, coolant stuff all over the road. And it's not leaking anything. And there's nothing. I'm looking at it, and I can't see anything wrong. So I get back in the truck. I start it up, and it's just pop, 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 pop. And I look under the hood as it's running, and I can see that the porcelain part of the spark plug, the white part, shot out of this number 2 cylinder, and it's just puffing air out on the compression stroke, just puffing air out. So I'm like, what the heck? So I shut it down. We have a plug wrench in the boat for when, like, the boat will, if the boat floods or something, we can pull the plugs out and dry them off and put them back in. And it's issues we've had before, so we're ready. And we pull that, there's the part of the spark plug is still in the cylinder, which is good though, because if it shot the whole plug out and it wrecked the threads on the block or on the head, it would have fucking been really bad. So we pull the rest of the plug out. I touched it by accident and burnt my fucking finger, but we're like, what the hell, man? And we're in between all these little towns, and Mike starts Googling where we can find an auto parts store to get a new spark plug. And I'm like, just get in. And I fire it up. It's making all them popping noises, and we're off. I take off again. We're on 5 cylinders, and I can actually get it up to like 60 miles an hour. It's probably not good to drive it on 5 cylinders like that, but we're just putzing along, trying to get to the next town, trying to get to the nearest auto parts store. And right when we hit Michigan, North Dakota, I have to say North Dakota behind it, because like right when we hit Michigan, it's a little town called Michigan, and another spark plug blows out, and that shuts us down completely, and we're just dead in the water there. We pull over by a John Deere implement place, and we go into the John Deere place, and we like bring a spark plug in, and we're like, do you guys have any sort of spark plugs like this? And they're cross-referencing all these numbers, trying to get us a spark plug. And they have one that might have worked. It was a little shorter than what we had, but they only had one. And at that point, we needed at least 2 spark plugs. So luckily, my sister Carrie, thank God for Carrie, lives in Devil's Lake, and she's about 30 miles away at the time. And she left work and everything and runs the auto parts store. Grabs 6 plugs and plug wires, because one of the plug wires got messed up when the plug shot out too. So she brings us these parts. We swap out the plugs. I put in some new plug wires just to be safe on those cylinders, and off we go again. And the rest of the trip, the truck did just fine. We didn't fucking spit any more spark plugs, and thank God, dude. I thought our trip was over from the start. And me and Mike, for some reason, one of us needs to have a new truck or something, but we both have shitty old vehicles. And I'm not going to call, I ended up naming my truck Sandy. I have an Aunt Sandy, and it has nothing to do with that. And you have to name a vehicle a female for some reason. I don't know. I mean, you don't have to, but I've always heard that it's like you got to name her a female name, and it's a '94 Ford, so I had to go like with an old name. I was like Gretchen, Bertha, but like Bertha's like in Call of Duty they have these the Deuces or whatever, like these huge trucks. They call them Bertha. So I'm like, my truck's not that big, so let's not go with Bertha. So I ended up calling her Sandy. Sandy did a fucking amazing job. So we put almost 1,000 miles on her over the weekend, and from the one little hiccup, and I don't know if it was just a fluke spark plug issue or what it was, but she ended up doing really good for us, and I'm not going to complain. And I'm not surprised. Like, the truck is in really good shape for how old it is, and it only has 138,000 miles on it. So I mean, some people have like newer vehicles that got more miles than that, you know. So we keep trucking along, and we go all the way out to Williston, and it's on the Missouri River and the Yellowstone River Conference is what it's called. It's where the two rivers run together, and it's where the paddlefish spawn every year, or they go through there to get to swim upriver to go to spawn. And we get there. There's probably like 40, 50 fucking campers already there set up. And this is Thursday night, and you don't start fishing till Saturday morning at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Central. We are right on. It's confusing because you would walk one way and you'd be in Mountain Time, you'd walk another direction and you'd be in Central Time, and your phone and my watch would just keep switching, and I'm like, so fucking confusing. But we get there, the tent area where everybody puts tents, really wasn't anybody there yet. There was one other guy. We get our tent set up, we get everything set up, and so we're just hanging out at this point. The river was way too low. We couldn't even put our boat in where we were at. The nearest access was like a mile and a half downriver, and we just decided not to put the boat in while we were there. You know, before you can start paddle fishing, we were fishing from shore with night crawlers and some cut bait once we caught some skipjacks and stuff, and we caught a shit ton of little catfish off the shore, and that was about it. But as we're there, man, like, people just kept rolling in, and there was hundreds of people. By Saturday morning, it was a freaking circus. It is like an event. And Friday night, people are getting fucking hammered drunk, partying. Like 3 in the morning, somebody sets off fucking fireworks. And I don't remember what I was dreaming about, but in my fucking dream, shit just starts blowing up. And I'm like, oh my God. And I wake up like, fuck, you know. And I wasn't mad about it because I was like, my younger days, if I was still drinking, I'd get drunk and be like, dude, we got fireworks in the truck, man. And fucking, I don't know. It was like the rudest thing anybody could have did, though, because there's just hundreds of people there sleeping in campers and tents, and they set off these loud-ass fucking fireworks. But it is what it is. So that's Saturday morning. Mike is up at like 3:30 in the morning, and he's got to get down to the riverbank, and get in a spot to hold down a spot on the riverbank, because it's just, there's so many people. If you don't get a spot, like, you're gonna be stuck waiting for somebody to catch a fish, and you can move in. But Mike got down there, got us some good spots because we caught our fish pretty quick. Well, you get down there, and you have these giant 10-foot poles, 100-pound tests. I think he had 85 on them, maybe 100 on one of them. And you tie on this giant treble hook, and below that, about 8 inches below that, is like about a 5-ounce weight, which is a huge weight for fishing. You usually never would use a weight that big. In rivers and stuff, you can use them to try to hold the current's really high to hold your bait in a spot or whatever. But on the Red River here, we use 1-2 ounces usually. 2.5 is the most I use. Well, and then all you're gonna do once you start fishing is you cast that shit out as far as you can, and once it hits and it sinks a little bit, you keep yanking it like you're setting the hook, reel in your slack, set the hook, reel in your slack, and set the hook. Paddlefish don't eat; they eat microscopic things, algae, plankton, and things like that are in the river. They don't actually eat any sort of bait that you could use to fish for them, so you have to snag them. And so you have all these people along the river just whipping their poles, and you have people casting over your line, and you're getting fucking tangled up, and it is just crazy. Well, the guy next to me catches the first one of the season, and when you snag one, once you know you have a fish on, you have to yell "fish on," and everybody around you has to reel in their lines really quick so you get out of his way, and they'll start battling them. His was only 18 pounds. He reeled it in right away, and he was kind of upset. But so you get a tag, and you only get one, and the fish you catch, whether it's fucking a baby and it's 10 pounds or 18 pounds like that guy caught, he has to keep that fish. So he is stuck with a little one. And me and Mike caught 24 pounders too, so like ours were pretty small as well. And I kept snagging up in my spot. Like I kept pulling in, and all of a sudden I just get stuck, and my weight would break off, or the whole thing would break off, and I'm just getting frustrated. And I'm tying off. I'm on like weight number 8, and Mike is like, "Oh, how many fucking weights I got? If we're gonna have enough weights or whatever." And he's like nonstop doing it, and he's getting tired. It is a fucking workout, man. And Mike struggles with a lot of shoulder and neck pain as well, back pain. And he's like, "Here, take my pole for a minute and take my spot, and I'm going to take a little break." So I get in his spot. On my second cast, I snag into one, and it is like, if you don't, you feel the fish on there, but if you didn't feel the fish like that, you're like, I snagged, because it's just so heavy. And I yell "fish on," and people are all pulling up, and I'm just, it's a fight, man. And it was even a small fish, and it took me about 5 minutes to get it in. They usually drag into shore because the current's running so fast. And then Mike has a gaff, which is a big hook on a handle, and he, it gets into shore, and he gaffs it, he hooks it, and pulls it onto shore, and that's all she wrote, man. And I was excited. I've never caught a paddlefish before. It was a small one, and people are like, "Dude, 24 pounds is small?" Yes, dude. I saw a guy weighed in a 90-pounder. I'm like, it's like a fucking dinosaur, man. It is insane. There was guys with 60, 70 pounders, and it is crazy. Well, once you get your fish in, you have the little metal tag, you put it through their back fin, and you take it up to the processing cleaning station. They have this big trailer type thing, and they weigh your fish, they measure it, they check it for tags. The game fishing park tags them sometimes and tracks them, and they cut out a part of its jawbone, and I don't know if that's to test its age or what they're testing, but the game fishing parks, they track them, and they do a lot of research, and they only allow you to catch so many, and it's a pretty cool process. Well, they do all that stuff with your fish, and then once they're done with that, they throw it on this conveyor belt, and it goes up into the trailer, and there's these people in there working, and they clean your fish for you. So they skin it, they get the meat, and they package it for you, and they do it all for free. And people are like, "Well, that's crazy. They do it for free." Well, they keep the eggs that are in these fish, and they make caviar out of it. It's North Star caviar. And while I'm sitting there waiting in line for them to do my fish, there's a lady sitting there with North Star caviar, and you can sample it and try it. And I'm like, I gotta try it. I've never had caviar before. It's fish eggs, and I'm not a big, huge fishy tasting. I'm not a big fan of really fishy tasting stuff. And she puts it on a cracker, and I throw it in my mouth, and it wasn't like poppy, the eggs weren't like crunchy or poppy or anything. It just like a jelly on it, and it was so bad. It was just fishy, and it had a smoky fish flavor to it, but it was not my jam. I didn't want to swallow it. It was pretty rough. But it is what it is. I don't know why people are into that. She said a lot of people put it like some sour cream on it. I don't. You can throw a cracker with cream cheese and you kind of can mix some flavors in, and it tastes a little better. But not my jam, not at all. So no way. But anyway, Mike is still down there fishing while I'm processing my fish, and I uh, get all done with that. I'm headed back down to the shore to see how Mike's doing, and here he comes around the corner with a fish. You know, he caught his paddlefish too, and it was pretty awesome. And his looked bigger than mine, but both of ours weighed the same. They're both like 24 and a half pounds, which is whatever. Mike caught a 65 pounder last year, and I think he was hoping to catch a big fish again this year. And like I said, it's all luck, man. And when you're snagging fish, it's like so lucky. You got to be so lucky. And we both got fish right away, so you can't complain. There's gonna be people down there that don't even get a fish, and we did good. And so we get our fish early, and we're like, fuck it, dude, let's get out of this circus and get away. And we pack up the tent, we packed up the boat, and it was a pain in the ass getting out of there because there's so many vehicles. Well, we finally get out of there. We pull up to the processing trailer thing. We get out. We go get our fish, and these fillets that we got were huge. I gave one to Brian and Carrie. Brian said he wanted to try it, and I just gave him a whole fillet. Not a big fish eater, and I don't know. Like I was just dirty, grimy. I hadn't showered since fucking Wednesday night. I didn't shower for like 4 days out there, and it was just, we were dirty and gross, and everything smelled fishy to me. And even right now, I'm not like in this mood to eat fish, but I'm gonna fry it up and try it. I got to, you know. And I've had paddlefish before, but it's been so long. I was in Minot when Mike caught his before, and he let us try it, and they grilled it and stuff right on a grill. It's not a flaky fish. It's really like, it's more of a solid, darker meat fish, and I'm gonna cook it up here soon. So we get the boat packed up, we get our fish, and we get back on the road. We're driving through western North Dakota, right on the border of Montana, and it is some beautiful scenery. Like, where we live in Grand Forks is flat, and there's no scenery whatsoever. But out there, man, it was like the Badlands of North Dakota, and it was cool. We drive, you know, through all these like uh, plateaus and badland looking stuff, and it was really cool. It was a fun drive. We're heading towards it's called the Tail Raises. It's at the bottom of Lake Sakakawea. There's a big dam, and they let water through, and it's a really popular fishing spot. They catch a lot of walleyes, a lot of salmon, and a lot of trout down there. And we roll up, we find a camping spot. It's south of Minot. It's by like Garrison or Pick City is where we were. But we get a camping spot. We set the tent up, get some of the gear out, and we put the boat out on the water. It was super windy. The river there is flowing really fast, and we just really didn't know how to fish it too well. We would drift a little ways and just drag some bait and some plastics on the bottom and stuff. But we tried to get out of the wind and go find another spot. We did, but it was just, we had to put two anchors out to anchor because of the current and the wind. It just got kind of miserable. So cool thing is our buddy Theo, and I talk about Theo on here quite often. I give his podcast a shout out, the Blast and Cast podcast. He actually has a fishing podcast. He considers himself kind of a pro fisherman. He's got sponsors, and he is all about fishing and hunting. And Mike was kind of communicating with him the whole time we were out there, and he had his last weekend of Air National Guard drill, or he would have been out paddle fishing, but he couldn't make it. It was his last weekend in drill, and he, congrats to him. He's retiring. He was in the military with me and Mike, stationed in Minot. I was actually his sponsor, which an airman that's already there will sponsor a new guy flying in to show him around, help him out, get him in processed. And I was out in the missile field when he flew in. Our buddy Kevin picked him up, and then Mike showed him around and helped get him in process and stuff. So it was kind of a cool deal that we got to meet up with him and go fishing with him on his last weekend of ever being in the military, when we were like there when he first got in the military, when he first got stationed at Minot. So it was kind of a cool deal. Well, we take the boat off, and we're just fishing from shore, waiting for Theo to show up. He shows up. He's got such a nice boat, dude. He's got a newer tracker. And it's just, we get in with him. We bring a couple poles. And he's like, we're going to be using plastics, which are like rubber lures or whatever on jig heads. And takes us out, and we sit on a few of his spots. He shows us kind of how to fish it, what he does. We don't catch anything on the first spot we try. We go down river and we go right up by the dam, and the water is flowing really fast, and he'll roll up there and we'll just drift backwards and let these baits just drag along the bottom, and then he'll pull back up again and just keep drifting back and forth. And we didn't catch anything. The water is still really cold, especially in there. Like, it's coming off of the bottom of Lake Sakakawea, so the water was like 35, 38 degrees. And walleye, it's still a little cold for them to bite. So we didn't catch anything, which is no big deal. When you fish, man, you get goose egged all the time, and it happens. But it was just really fun to be out there with Theo and his wife and just reminisce and talk and bullshit. And Theo's like, dude, you got to be on the podcast. I'm like, you got to be on my podcast, and we're going to do a joint podcast here very soon. We just didn't have the time, and he didn't have the time to put it together while we were out there. But we're definitely, Theo, if you're listening to this, thank you for taking us out fishing, showing us your spots. I'm almost positive they're not your fucking best spots, because I know people you don't show people your best spots. He's like, these are my best spots, man. I swear to you, this is the honey hole. It's my spot. I'm like, I don't believe you. Anyway. But it was really cool of him to come out and meet with us. We fished until about dark, and then me and Mike were fucking pretty tired. We get back to the campsite. We actually went down to try to fish from shore, and it was just shitty shore fishing conditions. And we're both like, fuck it, dude. We're tired. We get back to the tent. We crash, and the next morning we wake up on Sunday morning, and it looks like it's going to rain. Well, we kind of expected rain. So we get everything packed up real quick, and we get back on the road. And the plan from there is just to get back to Grand Forks and just call her a weekend. If we weren't so fucking tired and sore and so beat, like, Saturday was just such a long fucking day. Being up at 3:30 in the morning, the paddle fishing was very physical, and just packing everything up and moving and riding in the truck for a couple hours just to get to the tail raises. Like, Saturday was a rough day on us. Fun day, but a rough day. So we pack up, and we're just headed back, man. We stopped in Devil's Lake for a minute. Brian was feeling under the weather with the flu or something, and he wanted some paddlefish, so I gave him a whole paddlefish fillet. Carrie was there. They gave me some deer meat in exchange, which is pretty awesome. And we didn't stay long. We're like, we just got to get home. So we left there, and then we headed home, and we got back here and unpacked, and Mike headed back to town, and they call her a trip, man. It was a lot of fun, and it was really good for me and Mike to get out and to just do that together. We thought about recording some content with the GoPros and stuff, but it was just such a circus. We didn't even want to try to deal with it. But it was a good time, man. It is good to get outdoors. It's good. Me and Mike can bullshit about everything and anything, talk about what's bothering us, talk about anything, man. And it was therapy for both of us. Physically rough on us, mentally great for us. So you got to kind of pick and choose, what's best for you. But the 22 a day outdoors, Mike's he got the LLC, and everything is being run by Mike right now. I got some stuff going on. I got my content creating stuff I'm trying to do. I got this neck issue going on. I got some other VA PTSD stuff that they're trying to figure out with me. And so everything's in Mike's name, and I'm fucking fine with that. And I kind of thought that's the way it should be from the start anyway. Mike's doing all the grunt work, and he, it was both of our idea, but it's just, I'm cool with it, you know what I mean? And Mike was worried that I'm like, he's like, I'm not trying to like not let you be a part of it, and I'll add you anytime you want to be added. And I'm like, dude, it's great. I'm here to support you and help you in any way. My boat is your boat. He's got himself. He's going to be buying a boat here soon. He hopes, if everything goes through right, he got himself a really good deal on a boat. So he'll have his own boat. I'll have mine. But I'm like, dude, anytime you need to use my boat, like, my boat is your boat. Like, me and Mike we're brothers, man. And I'm so happy that he's so happy that he's got this whole deal and he's running with it. And I'm excited for him in his guide service, because the thing with it, it's such a pain in the butt. The biggest pain in the butt is he has to get Coast Guard certified or some for the Red River flows into Canada, so it's international waters. So he has to take like this $500 course. It's like a week-long course. It's pretty crazy. So like I was telling him, I'm like, maybe it's best for you just to go through it all, and I can learn from like what you did, and maybe it just be easier later on for me. Maybe I can save some money. Maybe I don't have to do certain things, and you can kind of guide me through it, and tell me what you think was wrong, or you know what I mean? Like everything was working out great, and I don't mind that it's just in Mike's name right now. I really don't. He's already got some guides set up where he's gonna take some people out fishing, and that's awesome. Me right now, man, I am just happy. Keeping on with the podcast, keeping on with some content creation. I got a backcast coming. I bought that fucking gummy bear, the 13 million Scoville unit gummy bear, and I don't know. I'm gonna do it on the backcast. I'm fucking stupid, man. Why would I do this? I don't know. But the next backcast it's another interesting one I'm gonna do. It's an eating one, and I gotta be ready. I gotta be ready for it. It's gonna involve a lot of baked beans. And I don't know if I don't want to do it on a day I'm going to the gym. I don't know. It's crazy, guys. So I owe you guys a backcast soon. I don't know if that many people even watch it, but it's fun for me. And I'm sitting here and I got nothing else going on. I'm one of these bums that's out of work right now. But I was out of work post-COVID, so it ain't like I got out of work because of COVID and now I'm getting unemployment. I don't get unemployment or anything like that. So hopefully with the next stimulator, I can get back into some sort of job just to keep my sanity, get out of this house. And I don't know if I can ever keep my sanity, you guys. I'm crazy. Anyway, we're over 30 minutes. I hope you guys like the paddlefish story. I don't know if there's probably stuff I missed in there, but it was a blast. And me and Mike want to make it an annual thing, and I'm excited for it or whatever. So maybe next year we can do more video documentation on it because we kind of know what's going on and this and that. I don't know if we'll bring the boat next year. I don't know if the 94 Ford Sandy can make it again, but maybe. We'll see, you guys. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I so appreciate it, you guys. Dave's podcast1@gmail.com. Hit me with an email if you want to be on the podcast. We can do the Zoom thing. I got more podcasts coming your way from the gym with Vic and AJ. We're excited. Just hit me up, you guys. Dave's podcast on Facebook. Dave Helmbrecht on Facebook, my personal account. Funny Welder on Instagram. I don't post on there very much, but I get on there and check it out every once in a while. So I appreciate you guys so much for listening. And until next time, you guys, I'm out.